In the Hindu pantheon, Lord Shiva is the destroyer. His weapon of choice is the Trishul, a three-pronged spear wielded to restore balance. Similarly, ancient texts speak of the Vajra. Translating to thunderbolt or diamond, it represents an indestructible divine power that cuts through any obstacle. These are the bedrock symbols of ancient Indian mythology. Yet claims have emerged that these specific artifacts were unearthed not in the Ganges Valley, but over 5,000 kilometers away on an untouched mountain peak in the Philippines. Finding objects of this specific design so far from their cultural origin forces a reassessment of ancient trade routes, human migration, and the possibility that these myths hold a physical history. A decade ago, Indian businessman Syed Shamim Hussain started a copper and gold mining operation on a heavily forested, largely unexplored peak in the Philippines. Reaching the site meant a grueling 16-hour jungle trek. The terrain was treacherous. Hussain survived a near-fatal snake bite just days before hitting target depth. Workers cleared thick mud and struck a hard object. Initially, they thought it was a rock, but when they tapped it with a metal rod, the resulting ring proved it was metallic. Pulling it from the earth, they uncovered a Vajra. The next day, a Trishul wrapped in decaying leather fell out of the excavated mud wall. Within 48 hours, a commercial hunt for raw copper had completely stalled. Hussain was suddenly standing at what looked like ground zero for a major archaeological anomaly. The items pulled from the mud were covered in thick, heavy green oxidation. Hussain points to this extreme weathering as the primary physical indicator of the object's age. Metals like iron would have rusted into dust in this damp soil. These survived because they are primarily composed of copper and bronze alloys, which develop a protective patina over long periods of time. Carbon-14 dating relies on isotopes in living matter, meaning wood or bone can be dated, but copper cannot. Instead, experts use metallography. Analyzing the depth and type of oxidation layers allows scientists to calculate how long the metal was buried. Hussain spent years seeking high-level validation. He eventually gained the assistance of researchers at the Indian Institute of Science to map the metallic composition and verify the integrity of the find. The subsequent documentation led to a certificate from metallography expert Dr. V. Jayaraj. His analysis suggests the artifacts could date back 10,000 years, leading to a base valuation for the Trishul of $60 million. A 10,000-year age estimate shifts these objects from curious find to a significant challenge for existing archaeological timelines. Under Philippine law at the time, because the objects hadn't yet been officially declared as national antiquities, they weren't restricted from export. This allowed Hussain to move the items legally to India. Upon arrival, Hussain sought to register the items with the Archaeological Survey of India, or ASI, to establish a formal record of the discovery. Registration under India's Antiquities and Art Treasures Act of 1972 is a double-edged sword. It provides a legal identity for the object, but it also strictly regulates any future sale, requiring specific licenses or government permits. The ASI's primary function is to catalog history and prevent the illegal trafficking of artifacts. Their mandate does not include funding private research or independent metallurgical tests for individual finders. Hussain successfully documented his findings, but the legal framework now monitors the items' movement, ensuring they remain under state oversight. Despite the multi-million-dollar valuation, finding a permanent home for the items has been difficult. Hussain approached several spiritual gurus, but many refused to take possession of the artifacts out of a deep-seated spiritual caution. Possession also brought social friction. As a practicing Muslim, Hussain faced intense scrutiny for holding the supreme relics of the Hindu and Buddhist faiths, including the threat of religious backlash. Hussain views the situation through a wider lens. He interprets Sanatan Dharma not as a religious label, but as a universal philosophy centered on humanity and peace. The 10-year research process has placed Hussain in the role of a guardian for an era that precedes modern religious categories. Time is a factor. Hussain has stated that if no government or public institution steps forward to house and study the items, he will move toward a private auction. He hopes instead for a public structure, a place where people of any faith can observe the items, modeling the site after the universal appeal of the Taj Mahal. If an artifact is truly 10,000 years old, it raises a question of ownership. Does it belong to the discoverer, the religion that shares its symbols, or the collective history of the human race?